Welcome back to UKSG Red 23. My name is Skenmy, you can call me Paul, and we are back with Draiga. Welcome back, Draiga, running us through our horror block at this early hour here in lovely, sunny Scotland. I'm going to pass straight over to you, Draiga. Were you going to take away F.E.A.R? Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, so hi, I'm still Draiga. This is not Condemned, this is First Encounter with Assault Recon, or F.E.A.R. I mean, if you thought Condemned was a broken one, which it is, F.E.A.R is an order of magnitude more broken than that. Let's go, so, it's playing low difficulty, let's just get started. Sorry, time, I forgot to say. Yeah, sorry, sorry, I forgot to say time. So, unlike some other Monolith products, which shan't be named, you can actually skip cutscenes in this game. So we can skip through the opening cutscenes there. And so I was testing this out just before, and it's just about possible, but this is one of the most important tricks in the run, and it is very difficult on these computers. But I'm going to attempt to jump to the right, quick save twice, and then quick load. And it is extremely difficult on these computers because they load so quickly. Jesus. There we go. Okay, and doing that successfully will throw me out of bounds. As I said, so we can do that at will at any point. We call that quick porting, and it lets us just teleport whenever we want at will. It teleports us to the coordinate 0, 0, 0. And there's a similar thing in Condemned. This is, as Maxi Lobes put it, a pay-to-lose situation. The better your computer, the more difficult quick porting is. And so it is actually quite difficult to do on these computers, but we'll be fine, I think. I've once again forgot to do hang on, sorry, I forgot to do a mouse binding or key binding like that. Okay. So for right now, we are just past the First Encounter with Assault Recon, who is a specialist squad sent out to deal with supernatural occurrences and findings. So right now, we've been sent out to deal with Paxton Vettel, who you can hear right now, who is believed, well, basically, to be supernatural, and possess supernatural abilities. So we've been sent out to deal with him in, whatever sense you want that to mean. Of course, the game says such the area. I know exactly where Vettel is hiding, which is right there. And so, oh yeah, this Vettel. This game, as a horror game, isn't. I don't think it's as effective as Condemned. I think Condemned's a better horror game, but this game is very famous, mainly for its gunplay, which is excellent. It is by far the best part of this game, though the story and everything is also excellent. The atmosphere is so very good. It's just as a horror game, it doesn't work as effectively. But regardless, we are going to head back to join our team, as the game says. We skip basically everything to do with the story in this run. We skip. Oh no! Oh, that's really, really unfortunate. Okay. I don't know the last time I did that, so I accidentally quick loaded before I quick saved, which just means I have to do the section again. I actually don't know the last time I did that. Okay, oh well. Anyway, so you saw me at the beginning of the game, quick ports, as I said, just lets us, this game just gives us the ability to teleport whenever we want. It just teleports us to the coordinate 0, 0, 0, which is the origin of the map. On some maps, that just sends us straight into a death plane. In some cases, teleports us into very useful locations. And the very nice thing about quick porting is the fact that it preserves any momentum that you had before quick porting, which in this case why we could jump to the right, quick port, and then land on the sort of edge of the edge of the building, out of bounds. And it also preserves a couple of other states, which we'll be seeing throughout the run. The funny thing about quick porting is the fact that we play on the current patch, or the latest patch of the game, and a large reason for that is the fact that on the unpatched or older patches of the game, quick porting didn't work. And so they introduced quick porting in the latest version of the game, which actually makes it the fastest version of the game to run. There were other glitches which were in the older patches of the game, which they patched out in the current patch, but they introduced quick porting, which makes quick porting faster than anything else, or any other version of the game. So, okay, that's what's meant to happen there. You're meant to quick save, then quick load, and doing that just skips some dialogue that plays there, similar to Condemned. Though, thankfully we won't be doing that nearly as much in this case. That's actually basically the only instance of skipping dialogue by quick save, quick loading. Let's see. Wait for the audio cue of the helicopter to play, and that gives us, that's the cue for when we can skip that cutscene. Because again, thankfully, we can actually skip some of the cutscenes in this game. Let's see. So in this level, at the beginning, the game wants us to find a sort of switch or lever to open up the gate, which you're about to see. To open up that gate right in front of us. We're not going to do that. We're going to look at this guy in a particular angle and hopefully jump on top of him. Come on, game. This is quite... I've joked about this the biggest run killer. That's what's meant to happen is... if you look at the guard in a particular angle and a particular sort of a spot on the ground, you can jump onto his shoulder and then get another jump off, which lets you jump over the gate. That is quite finicky, and I've joked that at the highest level, that is the hardest thing in the run, because it's one of those things where no matter how much you practice it, no matter how much you look for a particular setup, it's just never ever consistent. Like, you'll get it 20 times in a row, and then fail to get it for, half an hour straight. It's just one of those sort of things, no matter how much you practice it. Alright. You can see me here. I've holstered my weapon, and that's in part because obviously you move faster with your weapon holstered, but also because your fists, your melee, are more powerful than most weapons in this game. Hitting an enemy in the head is a one-hit kill, and there's also a glitch that we can use in any percent to melee any enemy to death. I'm going to be setting up for a particular trick here by taking this box. Throw a grenade. Oh, this is bad RNG. I need you to die, please. Setting this box in a particular location. That should be good. Jumping on it, shooting that, and then jumping off the box. No, it's not going to work. Jumping off the box, shooting that, jumping off the box, and landing up on top of this container thing. So we call that box boost, and it's just a particular prop boost. An important detail about it is the fact that you have to throw a grenade into the room where box boost happens. And that's because throwing a grenade into a room actually affects how physics works in a room. If we didn't throw a grenade into there, basically the box would just slide along the floor and not sort of be, not sort of jump up into the air like it did there, which is what allows us to actually jump off it onto the cargo thing. Righty. And I know Alma jump scare running away thing. Oh yeah, Alma, she's the she's the scariest girl of this game. Gets every good horror game, at least of this sort of time era, needs a good scary little girl, and Alma is the scary little girl to fulfill that trope of this game. The lore of this game is actually quite complex to do with Alma and everything about her. Unfortunately, it's not explained within the, I guess, within the game's main story. You have to listen to all of the audio tapes and phone calls and whatnot that are dotted throughout the levels, and of course, we skip all of that because they're all optional, and so we don't get a lot of explanation about the story, and so jump to the right quick port, there we go. And you can see here the momentum throws us back into bounds, and so do I have my? I might not have my. Hang on. Let me just check my mappings. Check if I can. That's this should be working. I don't know if this isn't working. Oops. Hang on. There we go, okay. That was much more difficult than it usually is. So I was looked like I was sort of pushing myself into the ladder there. You can see here, doing that just gives me the ability to float. So I was actually holding the jump button and then using the crouch button and the jump button simultaneously on the ladder. And that's somehow messes with the game's physics, and it just makes so that we can't lose, it doesn't change our Y velocity manually. The catch with it is the fact that we can't gain height at will, we can only lose height at will. Also, that door just leads nowhere, and so now because the entire level is loaded in, if we just wander about, that's the end of the level right there, so that's where we're headed. Yeah, so this game is somewhat, a tiny bit broken. So the catch with the ladder glitch, as I said, is that we can't gain height at will, which means that we have to rely on things in the environment to sort of push ourselves up with. So here we quick walk again to the right, perform the ladder glitch, and pick up some supplies around. And you can see me, this is all sort of mapped out there so that we can get just enough height from various objects in the environment to push ourselves over various things. I'm going to go carefully under this corner. And so this is what a large amount of the run consists of, is quick porting and then doing the ladder glitch and then floating to the end of the level. Though part of what makes this such a good speed game is the fact that it's not all like this. There are levels which we don't just break completely, which actually do rely on skills like how well you can deal with a pack of enemies in your way rather, how well you can react, all of that sort of stuff. And so it's not just all completely breaking the game. This is the end of level trigger, which we're going to activate. So jump to the right quick ports, jump to the right quick ports, jump to the right quick port. The timing for it's very tight on these computers. Oh, come on. There we go. Okay, jump to the right quick port, land on these pipes, change setting that I forgot to change. Where is it? Sorry about this. I forgot to change light detail because this lets us actually see during this out of bounds. And so now we can just go out of bounds, jump onto that, and that is the end of the level. So we jump to the right quick port. as is the case with a lot of levels in this game, we just start out by quick porting. There we go. I didn't make that jump, it's unfortunate. It is possible to quick port jump onto that, which saves you having to sort of walk up the stairs and avoid some damage. I didn't get in this case, but it's fine. I'm going to pick up this medkit for safety. And then shoot the barrels to avoid them, avoid the enemies don't want those barrels on us because they do a lot of damage. Burn past with the enemies. And make our way through these windows. Pick up that mine and change the mine because we have the only required fights in this game. And by that I mean we're going to be killing these enemies. Come on, throw the mine into a particular location, come to the back of this truck, kill the enemies that spawn out here. And like that. So the mine I threw up there, that kills 2 enemies that spawn out through there. And this is a required fight in the sense that once the final enemy is killed, the game sort of registers that, you know, we're done with the level. And so you can hear dialogue playing, and this is the end of the level. And so with most levels, all you have to do to activate the end of the level is just reach a particular point. In this case, we have to kill all of the enemies in this area, and that's what actually triggers the end of the level, which is the only level that functions like that. I see, so this is one of the levels that we're just going to play normally, but we're not going to just completely glitch our way through the entire thing. We're just going to be, it's more about good movements, good ways of getting past enemies, all of that sort of stuff to do this level effectively. Yeah, if you have anything to say, this is a good time for it.
Wonderful, I'd love to. We've had a $10 donation come in from your firstborn. I'm assuming that's not your firstborn.
I
But
imagine not, no.
But yeah, $10 donation from your firstborn, who simply says, "Ah!"
Very good.
Thank you for your donation, your firstborn. That's gone towards the John Cleese naming on the Worms incentives that are coming up.
Okay. So, we slow kick into these 3 enemies. And pick up medkits and armor there. Yes, like I said, we're not just completely breaking everything here. We're just trying to effectively deal with enemies in our way, and the best way to do that with large groups of enemies is basically just to slide kick them out of the way. Because a slide kick is an instant kill to any enemy, and also doesn't slow you down a great deal. And so, I mean, of course, the best way to do it would just be to sort of go through them without having to slow down at all, but given the fact that they do block us, we slide kick into them instead. I see, that's the end of that level. So we're starting off sort of normally here, but we are going to be doing a big skip here. There is a skip you can do in that room, but it is wildly inconsistent. To my knowledge, nobody has ever actually done it in a full run as of yet. Though one day we'll probably be attempting it in actual runs, and I dread that day, but for right now we're just going to ignore that and just continue running through the level, sort of normally, quote unquote. There are sort of these invisible ninja enemies that show up around these points. We unfortunately don't actually see all that much of them in the speedrun, because they're only in a couple of the levels, and those levels just happen to be some of the ones that we just skip a large amount of in the speedrun. So we're going to get up here, quick save, and then this ceiling tile, I need it in a particular location. That will do. Then I'm going to quick save, throw a grenade up against this wall here, and in slow-mo, once the grenade explodes, jump off the ceiling tile so I can land out of bounds, and then do some out of bounds jumping and platforming, carefully making sure not to fall off, and then jump back in bounds there. So we call that, well, there are a lot of different names for it, so I guess the sort of classic name for it would be Chester skip, because we skip an interaction that we're meant to have with a character called Chester. Yeah, we're the names we have for skips in the F.E.A.R community, we don't, we're bad at naming things. So that is sometimes called Chester skip, I call it ceiling skip. And that is, it's not an especially hard trick, but it looks very flashy and is quite intimidating. But the setup is extremely lenient for it. The ceiling tile does not have to be in a specific location exactly. Grenade isn't all that specific. It's quite lenient. It just looks very intimidating. So I'm going to approach this gate and just phase through it, because you can do that in this game. And activate the end level. So Chester skip or ceiling skip looks very cool, but doesn't actually skip a great deal. That skip, which didn't even look like a skip, that was huge. So by approaching that edge there and spamming jump and crouch, you can force the game to give you a second jump off of the edge there and jump onto the second level. And that didn't look interesting or flashy. That skipped half the level, so we're now more than halfway through this level, which is quite nice for the speed run. That is called Bishop Skip, because it skips, well, this level is A equal Bishop, and that also skips us interacting with the character Bishop. And the rest of this is just going to be running towards the end of the level. There is, again, a sort of semi-optional skip you can do slightly earlier that involves a laptop, but that is also so wildly inconsistent and it's not understood properly as of yet. So I'm not going to attempt it. So I'm going to be picking up as many medkits as I can, because I would ideally like to show off a skip that requires me to have full medkits in the next level, but if I can't, it's not a huge deal. But it would be nice to show off. So I'm going to pick up an extra medkit here, and fall all the way down, and fall even further down. Okay, that's how you meant to do that. I see. So for most of this level, we're just going to be, can you die? For most of this level, we're just going to be going through it sort of normally-ish, except towards the end. But right now, it's just going to be about getting past enemies quickly. I'm actually going to avoid a group of enemies there to pick up some extra medkits, because I sort of need them. Pick up an extra medkit there. Pick up that medkit, and yeah, I'm going to find show off the skip. What do I see? It's like you can see the enemies, medkit, here, and then pick up that medkit. I see, I have full medkit, nearly full health. That is perfectly fine to do the skip, okay? So shoot this padlock, because that activates the sort of the next bit of the level. And then there's another bit of tech that I haven't said anything about up until far because it hasn't been noticeable. But by having a crouch bound to mouse wheel, you can just get through sort of a crouchable areas like this at full normal walking speed. You're meant to have a slower crouching speed, but by crouching for just a single frame, you can get through that at normal walking speed. So that was the skip I was talking about before. We call that fire skip for obvious reasons. You're meant to find a valve to turn that off, but the fire doesn't actually sort of kill you instantly. So if you have enough medkits, you can just jump into it and make it spam your way through it. The sort of issue with that is that it leaves you, or in this case, I'm left with one medkit, and upcoming is some quite intensive splits. I mean, I'm going to be fine. I'll pick up extra medkits and whatnot, but if I didn't have enough medkits for that skip, I would just have to turn off the fires and 10 dead, and it's really not that big a thing. It loses maybe 10 seconds compared to doing the skip, but yeah, doing fire skip does save time, despite how unsafe it is. So start the level, quick ports, there we go. And this is another one of those levels which is completely broken by quick porting, because this is actually the end of the level. We just have to go through here, and we've skipped basically the entire level now. Jump up here. And this fence the end of the level. So start this level with quick port, as you might come to expect by now. And this is a weird one. We're going to kill these two enemies, face this pillar in a particular angle with the shotgun out, that should work, and just start jumping into it, and it's just lets us climb it. This suitably called pillar climb, and the way it works is basically the seams of the pillar, how it's put together, weren't done correctly, so it's essentially sort of a tiny platform that you can jump on there, which is what we do, and it leads all the way up into the pillar, and that lets us skip. The quick port at the beginning already skipped a pretty huge section of the level, and that pillar climb basically just takes us to the end of the level now. Gonna pick up that med kit for safety. Okay, after image. So the previous two splits weren't that bad if you do fire skip. This and the next level of where it really matters whether or not you did fire skip, because this level and the level coming up are the two most intensive splits in terms of enemy fire and damage and whatnot. And so doing fire skip can leave you in a very dangerous position here if you don't have enough medkits. In this case I've picked up extras, and so I'm going to be perfectly fine. But yeah, not doing fire skip, you'd have plenty of medkits here and you'd be fine. But yeah, it's just going to be a lot of running past enemies. And this and the next splits are also very RNG heavy with enemy spawns, and so you can just be completely screwed over by where enemies decide to spawn and how much they decide to hit you. Sort of that's RNG. In this case, we're doing fine so far. Pick up extra medkits for safety. I see. So that's a big mech enemy. Him shooting rockets is also RNG, just to add to the RNG of the level. And so if you're unlucky, you can just be blocked by him, and he just completely stops you from moving. Which didn't happen in this case, which is quite nice. Yeah, as you can see here, it's just a huge barrage of enemies constantly throughout the level, because we don't have, again, any particular way of skipping that one, rather than just running past all of the enemies. Alrighty, Alice Wade. So in my split names, in my live split for this level, I just have it titled as Where Runs Go to Die. Samir, another top one of this game, just has this level titled as Y in his live splits, which tells you all you would need to know about this level. It is the longest level in the game, it is the most intensive level in the game, and I'm gonna say it's the most RNG heavy level in the game. It's just, yeah, a very, very big one killer. It's just long, intensive, random, and it has a tendency to go very, very wrong at times. So, quick pause. We went into that lift there and waited for a few seconds, and we had to do that because that activates the trigger, which we needed for that lift, which just entered to activate. So what we're going to do is we're going to jump onto this ladder, we're going to quick port again, and then use the climbing animation of the ladder, which we can still preserve after quick porting. And the length of the ladder actually leads us perfectly into this room here. Jump onto the ATM and do a small skip, something like that. Okay, so nothing about this has been so random so far. It's the area coming up next where it sort of begins. Again, I'm gonna approach the gates, look into it, spam right a few times, and then just phase through the gate, because you can do that in this game. Pick up medkits. So how this section works is we're going to be passing back through this area, escorting a character with us, and we need the area to be as clear of enemies as we can. So I'm going to be throwing mines at particular locations throughout it to hopefully clear out enemies as they spawn into the level. How effective that will be is largely random, and it's also why I'm actually taking time to kill enemies as I go through here. If you could die, thank you. So this is the character in question. This is the titular Alice Wade. So we're going to have a long sort of story spiel here, where Alice Wade is talking to one of our fellow F.E.A.R members, during which time we're going to have enough time to go around and clear up the area of the remaining enemies. This area won't progress until this dialogue is finished, and so if we just run around and pick up any extra resources we may find around here before we head back to continue the level. Importantly, I need to pick up that weapon. There you go. So once that dialogue is finished, you can see the saving checkpoints, and that's what actually makes the level continue now. And so we're going to be passing back to the area we just went through, hopefully fairly devoid of enemies, so that Alice will actually, move towards. We need Alice to come to this lift here, so hopefully the area is devoid enough of enemies so that Alice will actually come to the lift. And this is where the randomness of this level really comes in. You see, still one enemy that's alive. I can hear another, but can't see him. It's annoying. Okay, Alice Wade came nice and quickly. That is good. Yeah, so that section is why this level is hated so much, because it is just a lot of randomness about enemy spawns, how many enemies are killed, how fast Alice comes to the elevator, is if you do fire skip and you're not careful and you don't have enough med kits, it's very intensive. You can die. It's just, yeah, huge run killer. Right now, well, now that we're sort of done with that, this level is fairly calm from here on out. We have this lift section, but we can just hide in the corner of the lift, and the enemies, well, you're meant to fight the enemies out here, but you can actually just hide in the corner of the lift, and none of the enemies can hit you, basically. Some runners choose to kill the enemies here, but to my knowledge there is no benefit to doing that, so I'm just not going to. There are extra medikits you can pick up, sort of run out and collect if you need them. I have full medikits, so I'm not going to do that. And we have one final level of enemies. Hello. Yep, you just hide in the corner and you're nice and safe from any enemy attacks. I see. So after that, we can do a small skip here. You can clip your head through this window and activate the button from the other side, which you need for this gate to open. Otherwise you would just have to walk into there and activate it manually. And we're nearing the level now, thankfully. Without too much going wrong. And the level. Okay, so that is Alice Way. That's where the most things can go wrong in the run. Now, this box is important. I'm going to push it into a particular location, start slide kicking, and hopefully... come on, game. There we go. Be pushed out of the window. So you can see Alice Wade is still doing some story stuff. But putting that box into that location, that and slide kicking, you can actually be pushed out of the window, and you're meant to have a huge story, sort of spiel there from Alice Wade. But you can actually just skip all of that by doing that. It saves maybe 30 or 40 seconds versus listening to the dialogue there. And this is a weird one. You jump onto this laptop, shoot it in a particular location, and it teleports up into the second floor. Yeah, that's a weird one. I don't think anybody... the laptops are really weird in this game. They're not fully understood. There's a lot of theories about stuff we could potentially do with them, but that's the only thing that's really come to fruition out of them. But now, ladder glitch, go over the railing there, and float away from the map proper. Past this wall, and then, I mean, you can see, you're meant to have you're meant to sort of go through all of this, but via the power of floating, we can just skip all of it. You're meant to have a huge fighting sequence here, throughout the car park, but of course, we can just float eventually to the end of the level. Like that. Okay. Okay, so this is, again, one of the few times we just sort of have to sit through this. If you have sort of anything to say or add, it's a great time for it.
I'd love to, thank you. Yeah, we have another $30 donation that's coming from Fen Z, who has put that $30 donation towards the Angry Scots voice for the Worms Remastered run, coming up later. That's now in second place. So if you want to get your favourite voice pack running on the Worms World Party Remastered, all missions, any percent, coming up in a few hours' time. Get your donations in now. But thank you to Fenzi for your $30 donation.
Righty. So yeah, so a helicopter crashed. Because I had to, because this is an action game, or a horror action game. And now, since we can get up in just a second here. There we go, okay. So there's another somewhat big skip here that doesn't actually look like a skip. And it's another really, really sort of odd one that sort of seems like a developer oversight, but I'm gonna shoot those planks, get them out of the way so we can progress. Shoot these planks out of our way, and I completely missed both of them. And I'm gonna throw a grenade down there to get the planks that were covering there out of the way, just so I don't think about them myself, striking the enemies. Then preemptively throw a grenade here, so that it hits the big enemy that explodes through that. And that also has the effect of knocking off the planks that are covering this sort of little thing here, so I can just go through it without having to take off the planks. And then this is the weird bit. This window is open, and this isn't the way you're meant to go, but you can jump through it and land on here, and then platform your way to this other open window. And that, despite the fact that it looks sort of like intended, that isn't developer intended at all, and it is totally possible. There's a death plane there that you're meant to hit if you jump out of the window, but those platform or window ledges you can stand on and avoid the death plane. So yeah, there's just sort of an odd, seems like just a developer oversight, but yeah. And careful not to die here, because I have died there before. Okay. So, point of entry. This is the last time, thankfully, medkits are actually going to matter in the run. From this point onwards, how much health we have and how many medkits we have are going to be irrelevant, thankfully. And so, this is another quite RNG heavy level. Depending on, we're going to have another one of those rocket enemies, and again, getting blocked by him is RNG. Getting blocked by enemies, RNG, how much damage takes, RNG. It's a lot of just sort of RNG thrown at you at this level. So this is the enemy in question, and he's not going to block us, which is nice, so we can just move directly on. You can just get stuck there in sort of a loop if you're unlucky, which is really, really annoying with the enemy just continually firing rockets at you. And there's nothing you can do to get past him or get out of the way of the rockets. But otherwise we're just moving on. So you're meant to sort of back out of the way of the truck by going there, but this pipe also has weird geometry, so you can just jump onto it and then jump over the truck. That's not a big skip, but it is, it's the same principle as the pillar climb from earlier, but basically the seams of everything there weren't put together correctly, so there's sort of tons of tiny platforms you can jump on and just skip having to avoid the truck. How much? This is a big place. Okay, so I barely took any damage there. The enemies can just completely destroy you there, and it can just basically take like 4 medkits from you. And depending on how well previous levels have gone, you might only have like 3 medkits at that point. So on occasion, one can just die there if the enemy decides to do enough damage. Oh. That was unlucky. This room is deceptively difficult because that big enemy is going to attempt to block us at the stairs here like that. And the idea is to sort of attract him towards you beforehand so he doesn't do that, and that didn't happen in this case, so I had to throw a grenade into the room, which caused a staggered animation from him. And that does lose some time, but it's still faster than him blocking you at the base of the stairs. So, carefully line up a headshot with that enemy, and pick up his weapon. Then do the ladder glitch here. Come on. Jump directly off the ladder. It's with some ladders you can't actually tell if you've got the ladder glitch, and this is one of them. There isn't any way to actually tell you've got the ladder glitch until you've got it, basically. Once you do have the ladder glitch, the way to sort of tell you've got it is if your footsteps are silent. So, like right now I don't actually have any footstep sound effect playing, and that's how I know I've got the ladder glitch. And so we're going to make it through here. Then use the stairs here to gain some height. And then go out the window. And that is the end of the level right there. So we're going to make our way towards that. Just like that. So this is the most complicated trick in the game. Oh, I didn't pick up the weapon. Oh, that's really, really, really bad. That's actually awful. I actually can't progress. I actually can't progress without that weapon.
Oh no!
I could have sworn I picked it up. I actually can't do this level without that weapon.
All right.
Hang on.
As is the luck of marathons,
that's
right?
really, really unfortunate. I actually can't do it. Hang on. No, I can't do it. Yeah, because then I also need that weapon for later. Yeah. I'm sorry.
Oh no! No worries at all.
I can load this and do it from here and redo the levels, but
you've got 10 minutes or so left on your estimate. Can you do it in 10 minutes?
I can't, but
as is the nature of marathons, right? This happens.
That's it. So that's completely my own fault. That was really, really dumb. Yeah, I could have sworn I picked up the weapon. I didn't, and I need that weapon to continue.
And there we go with the run being killed right there. Well, Draiga, it's been fantastic seeing you run here. Thank you so much for taking us through it as far as you could.
Yeah. I'm really sorry about that. I was completely my own fault.
I don't think you need to be sorry for anything. Thank you so much for taking us through as far as you did. Obviously, I think Draiga, do you run this on the regular?
Not as much anymore.
Not as much anymore.
I've run this a lot in the past, yes.
Well, I'm sure but there's a lot of love for you in the chat, Draiga, so thank you so much for doing all of this. As the chat has been asking, we are live. This is UKSG Red 23, a 2-day speedrunning marathon coming to you live from Glasgow, Scotland. I want to say thank you to Draiga for taking us through our horror block. We're going to go to a short intermission, and we will see you back after this break.
Right.